Okay, I guess we're going to go ahead and do this. So, hello everyone. Welcome to the So We Gaming Podcast. I'm Alex, and as always, I'm joined by my awesome Colombian co-host, Tito DiBiase. Say hi, Tito.
Hey, yo. How's everybody doing this beautiful, majestic day? And I hope everybody's doing fine. Thank you so much for my co-host right here. So I'm Alex. Thank you very much.
That's me. Today we're joined by one of my best friends, Trace Hathaway, also known online as Saracen, aka A1 Butter, aka GeoFreak. Welcome.
Go into all that, but hello everybody.
Hey, yo, what's up, Trace?
Trace, how are you doing today?
I'm not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine and dandy. Fine and dandy. Thank you for asking. But yeah, welcome to the So We Gaming Podcast. We're so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
That
was a good sound.
Yeah, that was a delightful sound.
Oh, thank you.
Dita, what are you sipping on?
Oh, right now I'm just drinking hard seltzer because that's what I usually do whenever I,
Howard Seltzer. You know what I'm drinking right now?
What's up?
It's a Mexican Coca-Cola. I got it at
wow.
Chipotle.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh,
Man
that's
after
actually
my own heart.
dope.
Yeah, it says Refresco on it, but like these are so delicious. And I'm a huge Diet Coke fan personally. I think it's just made with more sugar. It's just made with straight up cane sugar, and it's so delicious. And I always enjoy it with my Chipotle.
Are you sponsored now?
Is that so? That's
Wouldn't
what
that
happened
be
with his
something?
glasses?
That would be pretty crazy. But we have a whole multitude of topics to talk about this evening, especially since we have our very first guest on the show. So it's pretty awesome. But
Not
before
only our first guest, it's actually one of the best that I never expected to actually have such an amazing guest, right?
Yeah, I'm a big name, but seeing as you are my friends, I figured I could do a little appearance on your podcast.
I thought we were more than friends.
Best friends.
I feel like that's an Usher song.
Wow.
Either way, let's go ahead and start with the first topic. First topic was actually, I want to say we thought about this earlier this week. We got in the conversation. I was hanging out with a couple friends from the Mysteriosities podcast.
Oh.
And I was just on my way out because we were hanging out, and I was on my way out, and I was like, oh, by the way, is using a guide considered cheating when you're using it for a video game to like help you, move forward and progress further, or maybe even build a better, stat for your character? And I got mixed results.
You know what? It's hard to talk about. Like, it's hard to actually think about it because you don't actually have a correct answer, because depending on the game, depending on the game, you might actually feel like good or bad about it. For example, I got a question for you, Alex, itself.
Uh-huh.
Would you feel bad if you actually have like a guide with you when it comes to Wordle?
Yes, because I refuse help almost all the time. And
But yeah,
I was gonna say, sometimes people will throw in like a little tidbit. They'll just say, "Oh, this word is tough," or "Oh, that was a really easy one." And then I'm like, in my mindset, I'm not thinking of easy words now. I'm thinking of, dang, what are the words that I don't know that I should probably utilize? and that actually helped me one time. I can't remember which word it was, but I guessed the word on like the second guess, and I was like, yeah, I'm amazing, no problem.
Well, see, it's actually completely different than when actually having a complete guide when you're playing League of Legends.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm sure Trace can absolutely talk on this, but when it comes to League of Legends, when the game first came out, and there's a whole video documentary about this on Netflix, but no one knew exactly what to do. They just pretty much created all these characters and then said, all right, pick one of them. You guys have 5 people on this team and 5 people on that team, and let it rip. And then over time, people kind of started figuring out like the strats. Like, I think originally it was 2 top, 1 mid, and then 2 bottom, and no one ever necessarily used the jungle. And then like people started kind of figuring it out. They kind of started deep diving into the stats and things like that. And now you pretty much have the general meta you had today. You pretty much run, an ADC, a support character in the bot lane. You run your mid and then your top, and then you have a jungler that utilizes the minions in the jungle and kills them to go ahead and farm for gold and XP, and then he or she for the character is able to go ahead and move from lane to lane and help support whoever needs help the most. But I mean, I know Trace is definitely adept with looking up builds.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really not that simple for League of Legends from a build perspective, because there are, sure, optimized strategies for how to get the most damage. That's usually what you get from different websites, or how to stay alive longer if you're a tank. But you should probably build based on who you're facing, not just do whatever the Blitz app says. So it's a really fine line. Like, there are runes that can be good situationally, and those are what the Blitz app or u.gg are showing, versus what you could do into a certain matchup where if you take those runes, you might lose the lane. But back to your point about Wordle, I think it's absolutely fair. Easy guy.
You're just like looking. Oh yeah, the guide for this word is blunt. Oh, so it could be blunt, or maybe it's weeds. I don't know.
It really takes you through a whole process to get there to the end.
Can you actually believe they're actually meta words to start with?
Yeah. Do you know what word I used to use?
Crane.
Huh?
You used to use crane?
I did use crane, but no. The one word I used for a few days was adieu.
Huh?
Yeah, adieu. You could use that word.
Wait, but, seriously? It's not even English. It's French.
It's a word.
I mean, I use sore.
It's acceptable. That's the key point.
I use irate. I feel like it's a pretty good start.
Well, with irate you have 3 vowels, and you have R and T, which are one of the most popular consonants.
For 5 words. For 5-letter words is what I meant.
Exactly, but that means irate is actually an excellent word to use.
And that's why I use it.
I'm gonna start using it too.
The same goes with sore. That's why I use sore as well. It has 3 vowels, R and S, which is used to also end the words with.
That's fair too.
So speaking of that, but more recently, I've actually been kind of like just picking a random word more recently. I don't have a starter word necessarily anymore. So today, for example, I haven't
done mine today.
Oh, you haven't done yours yet? Oh gosh, dang.
You know what? I'm gonna do it right now as we talk.
You're gonna do it right now. Okay. Well, while you're figuring that out, we'll go ahead and swing back to that topic in a bit. But yeah, I changed my word around, and actually it's been proven to provide some fruitful results, because I'll change the word and I'll be like, oh snap. I think my biggest gripe though is when I get 2 vowels in certain positions, or if I get an ER word, and I'm just like, crap.
Oh, I like craps.
You like
what? Wait, sorry. I'm just, my brain is off doing this goddamn Wordle. My bad.
That's hilarious.
I know.
But yeah, no, the Wordle of the guide, yeah, that's obviously bullcrap. The only guide you have is the instructions that tell you how to play. That's really it. Let's be honest. But there's a lot of other games like that, though, that have come out recently. Like, have you guys played Mathler?
No, I haven't. I tried one time, and it just destroyed my freaking brain doing that, even though I'm good at math, but it destroyed my brain.
Yeah, I operate at like a high school geometry level of math, so I'm absolutely not doing that.
That's literally less than that. Mathler is super simple. It's just algebra.
You have to divide.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Okay, fair enough. Now going back to topic. Now, what about single player RPG games? Do you think that's still considered like cheating?
Well, depending on what game, because there's a lot. I mean, Dark Souls type of game, since Elden Ring literally came out like 1 hour ago while, recording this episode. People actually had like guides for Dark Souls 1, and I kind of understand it, but I ended up playing 1, 2, 3. Like 1, 2, 3, I did it without guide, and I goddamn loved the game, and I even learned everything from Dark Souls 3, and it's all in my brain, all by myself. I don't know how, but I kind of get and explain what is wrong with me. Anyway, I'm so sorry. Let me rephrase that. When it comes to Dark Souls, I understand people actually going for guides just to know where it goes, because they are kind of complicated and hard when it comes to killing bosses. But if you actually put your time in it, it's actually dope.
Yeah, I think with the single player RPG games like Dark Souls,
I got the word. Sorry, go continue.
it's not. I wouldn't consider it cheating because Dark Souls is a very difficult game. Not everybody's operating under the same, like, I have to be hardcore to be good at this game. Some people just want to get through to the end and say they did it. And I don't see anything wrong with maybe getting a little help from a guide from somebody that's done it before. I wouldn't think less of somebody that beat the game that used one.
Right. Do you remember like in the in like drugstores or like Barnes and Nobles, they'd always have that section, and it's like all the magazines, and they had like Brady games, and they had like all the EB game guides and stuff like that. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how those are so popular. I love those books. And the thing is, like, I mainly just read it for the content. I never truly used any of the tips that they did. Like, they had a Halo one. I'm just all like, oh, hell yeah, sniper rifle. That's so sick. This is a nice photo of a sniper rifle pointed at an elite from the Covenant.
You know what I just realized? Kind of when I was a kid, and I used to play a lot of GameCube games or a lot of Nintendo games back then, there was a game that I ended up going with a lot of guides. Since I was a kid, I didn't understand things, but I loved this game. And it was Pikmin 2, actually. It's the game that I usually love playing. And there was this website called Guías Nintendo, which means Nintendo guides and stuff like that. It was in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And he teach me where to go and what to do, because I was always losing a decent amount of Pikmins. And same goes with Zelda games back then. I was so oblivious. And I used a lot of guides. And when let's face, I was a kid, so I guess when you're a kid and try to use guides, I guess it's completely acceptable, because you also try to enjoy the game, but at the same time, it's hard to go for it.
Yeah, I used to buy the guides for GTA and all those different kinds of games when I was younger. But there was a game growing up. I'm going to age myself here, that I used to rent from Blockbuster. It was called The Lost Vikings for Super Nintendo.
Oh my god.
God.
The outside case was clear plastic.
Wow.
And I always got the same game because somebody had scratched into the case every cheat code for the game. So you could skip to any level, do anything you want. And it was the most fun I ever had with video games at that age.
Was it you? Did you scratch it in?
No, I wish, but no.
It was some hero. I'll never know who it was.
You're talking about cheat codes on the goddamn plastic case. That's another thing that I think everybody had for almost like GTA games, like a huge paper with all the cheats that you need. It's not like nowadays that we can just Google it and have all the cheats in there, but no.
Right.
We had to figure them out, or at least somebody tell us one of the codes and just add it.
Thank God for game devs. Always leaking that stuff. No, but that's funny because that actually brings us into our next topic. But it is old websites such as CheatCC, ModDB, GameSpot, and all those. They did have like cheat codes for all the games, and you had to print them out because you could just be on the dial-up, ring up the parents' phone bill all month. Like, I would get slaughtered and grounded. Like, well, guess you're not playing video games anymore. You kept the dial-up on. I was trying to make a phone call.
Oh God, that was so painful.
You're young enough to experience dial-up.
Colombia was a little bit behind when it comes to when it comes to internet and stuff like that. For a long time I didn't have a computer on like my family until I was like 8, and it was one of the old boxes.
Oh God!
And every time you open like your phone and somebody was using the internet, it sounded like and they'll shout out like, "Stop using the computer! I'm trying to make a call," or vice versa.
Yeah, it was really difficult to play games on CartoonNetwork.com back in the day.
Oh God, coolmathgames.com.
Cool math games, yes. Cool math for I think there was like coolmathforkids.com, and the only game I would play on that was this geometry game, and it was just like planes, and you literally just shot them down. They're just like paper planes, and you shoot them down, you get points, and that was it. But all the computers back in the day didn't have RTX 3070s, So it was really hard for it to render online. So playing Flash games back in the day was actually really difficult.
Bro, I used to play a lot of Cartoon Network games and the Jetix ones.
Mhm.
Oof, bro, they were amazing.
But yeah, do you remember the game James Bond, Goldeneye?
Yeah, I had it on my Nintendo 64.
Everybody should remember that game. For those who are listening, if you don't know what that game is, you either just never played video games growing up, or you just had, you're just a closeted child and your parents never wanted you to play video games. Period.
I still have my
Or they're
Nintendo
like
64.
17.
Or they're 17.
Or that, yeah.
True. But yeah, no. So James Bond GoldenEye was based off the movie. And it's the 007, all that stuff. But yeah, they had so many cheat codes for that game, and there's a lot of cheat codes for a lot of other N64 titles. Just so many things that you can just unlock. Age of Empires for the PC, that when that game first came out, that had a crap ton of cheat codes too. There was like one where you literally put like Stormtrooper and you get like a space soldier.
Oh, I remember that. That's so weird.
And they
blew
literally
me
destroyed castles in like 30 seconds. You just had one, and they'd just be like pew 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 pew, and it would destroy a castle, and like you'd have no enemies essentially.
Yeah, well, with the first Civilization game, Civilization Call to Power, they had a cheat menu built into the game where you could just turn on or off whatever you wanted. It was incredible.
That's so crazy. It's actually insane now how games actually still just have like, cheat codes or, cheat modes and things like that. I like the games though that have the code entry where you actually had to like, enter a certain code for it to work, cuz you still at that point you still got to do the research to try to figure out what code you can throw in there. Didn't you guys remember a game called Speed Racer for the PC back in like 95?
I actually know that beautiful game.
So the thing about the Speed Racer game, I think it was from a company called like Accusoft. I can't remember what the actual name of the game dev was, but this game was so fun.
I think you can still play it if you Google it.
Dude, it's like on borderline 32-bit. It's crazy, but it's weird because this game, it came with a manual, and you had to, whenever you load the game, you had to enter a password in order to play, and it always quiz you on what is Speed Racer's dad's name. So you would have to put Pops Racer in order to even freaking play the game. It was insane. I've never experienced anything like that.
I've never heard of that, but that sounds like it wouldn't be a very fun game, if I'm being honest.
It was not fun to get into because I would literally have to restart the game for it to ask me a certain question that I knew the answer to.
Of course.
It was so silly, man. But like I remember my dad, he had the manual, like, and he highlighted a bunch of the answers that are in the manual in order for us to go ahead and make sure we can play it every once in a while. But you can only play as Mach. You can either play as Speed Racer in the Mach 5 or Racer X in the Shooting Star. You never got to play as anyone else, which I always thought was kind of weird. But whatever. I digress.
It is what it is.
Dito, did you have any topics you wanted to talk about?
Well, to be fair, I don't have any topics.
You don't have any This is a podcast, man. You gotta be prepared.
I mean, I do have topics, like such as, gaming, right?
Oh, speaking of which, I do have a topic. If you don't necessarily have a topic, I have a topic. I have a question. It's more of a question. All right. The question is, and this is aimed towards Trace. What got you into manager games, and what is the what is the feeling like when you get lost when playing titles such as Football Manager or Pro Cycling Manager?
Well, I've actually done a deep dive on myself, so I know the exact answer to this. It came through like Football Manager because I would play FIFA, and it got to the point when I was playing FIFA where no matter what difficulty it was on, no matter how bad my team was compared to the other team, I would always win the game. And as somebody who likes a challenge in their video games, FIFA just didn't appeal to me anymore. So I moved to a game that was pretty similar to FIFA with your real life players, all their stats, all the teams.
Right.
And you don't get to control the game, so you are naturally going to lose some of them. And it's more fun to me to try and strategize to how to make the team better than just to be able to push buttons against a computer better than the computer can do it.
So basically, it's like being an actual manager and just literally suffering of how dumb your team can be.
Yes, absolutely. There's so many times where I have raged and hit my keyboard, hit the desk because the team does something stupid, but that's part of the charm. That's part of the love. The little variables that can go wrong that just aren't there in like other titles that you get to control everything.
I just imagine Trace like, he wakes up and, gets out of bed. He's just in his boxers and goes and gets his cereal. And then he starts putting on a business shirt with a tie and a blazer. And then he loads Football Manager.
You are asking me if I have ever dressed up in a suit and tie for a Football Manager game, then the answer is yes. And
Oh my god!
it was one time I was young and my friend Salim was with me and we played against each other in the Champions League final. So we both dressed up.
Wait, you're actually serious?
Absolutely.
I actually
man.
thought you were joking. Oh no!
I did not know that. I didn't know Salim played that. That's great.
Yeah, that's really how we kind of started off. Is he would come over when we were in high school and we would play marathon sessions. I think the longest we played was probably about 30 hours one time.
Wow. That's actually
You
insane.
know, it's just so goddamn funny that just Trace, besides Football Manager, he just has a huge collection of manager games, and I can just list them right now. He has Pro Cycling Manager 2020. He has Motorsport Manager, East Side Hockey Manager, Team Fight Manager, more Pro Cycling Manager, and a lot of football managers. I even made a meme out of that when he acquired Pro Cycling Manager 2020, I mean.
Yeah.
And it was, sorry.
I was gonna say I was also creeping on his Steam profile.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not creeping on his Steam profile. I'm
Well, I
creeping on
am.
the meme I did a few months ago. And that's how I got the information from this meme. It's in Avengers. You know when Thanos takes the Infinity Stone from Vision and puts it in his gloves?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the meme that I did. Like, if you guys haven't seen it, I'm gonna post it on general chat. So you get an idea.
That's insane.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you missed a few, but
Yeah, but it's there's a
also-
limit when it comes to Infinity Stones, you know?
I also have a baseball manager game, a college basketball manager game, and a horse racing manager game.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a freaking horse racing one. I
Sorry,
completely
what?
forgot about that.
Excuse me, did you say horse?
Horse, yes.
Horse racing.
Yeah, there's the meme. I put it in general chat. I guess you guys have seen that one before.
Oh wow.
They're just a calmer way to play the game. It's more strategy than skill. And luckily for me, I have more brains than I do skill with my fingers. So
That's
maybe
excellent.
that's why I play it.
That's
Don't you
good.
get stressed playing that game sometimes? Some of those games, knowing that your characters or your actually like your team is gonna lose sometimes.
No, because there's always something to blame that's not me.
I don't know, man. Leaders create the culture that drives behavior.
Hey, some cities or some countries actually blame the manager rather than the team.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone's got to blame someone, especially when it comes to sports.
Exactly. Like this is happening with Colombia right now. Colombia's team is going so goddamn trash that we all just want the freaking manager fired.
He's a manager.
Yeah, maybe you should think about getting some new players. Maybe creating a better culture in the.
No,
youth.
that's the reason. It's all because of the manager.
You know what? You
We
know
have
what your
better
team
players.
needs, Tito?
Yo, what's up?
Your team needs Ted Lasso.
No.
Yes.
No.
You need a happy gringo in there. Chasing around.
Yeah.
No. Fuck Ted Lasso.
Why fuck Ted Lasso, man? What's wrong with Ted Lasso?
Because it's a great show.
You don't want Ted Lasso to fix Colombia's football team?
It does have a second season, right?
Yes.
Oh, I
Yes.
haven't seen it. Crap.
Oh, dude, it's so good.
I've seen only first season. Anyways, but yeah, that's like Colombia's suffering right now, and what we need is Jose Peckerman, which is the past manager, and we want him so bad. I mean, the
Well,
one that we
just-
have right now, it's bad.
Let him enjoy retirement or wherever he is. I don't know who that is.
I think he's retired. Yeah, he's Argentinian, I believe. Oh yeah, he is actually. What am I saying? Oh yeah. Anyways, it's just that the one that we have right now, it's just bad, and Colombia is struggling way too much right now. We doubt that they might actually make it to the World Cup.
Well,
Colombia
don't
is still good.
worry. All you have to do is beat Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay.
Uruguay.
Uruguay is
Chile.
actually doing bad.
Really?
Kind of, yeah.
That's a surprise.
So I have a question for both of you guys.
What's up?
Are either of you a fan of gaming titles such as Cities Skylines?
Well, I used to play a lot of SimCities actually. back in
SimCity's
the
good.
days. Yeah, but City Skylines, I haven't played it that much, to be fair.
Yeah, city builders are a lot of fun. City Skylines is the best right now.
And-
Especially when you mod it. Like, when you mod it,
Oh,
it just gets
yes.
absolutely wild.
Have you ever had like those over like complicated traffic mods?
No.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. Don't ever add that. I've seen it on City Skylines that a friend used to play it. Though that mod it makes you so goddamn stressed. And I can
think
feel
that's
it.
that's kind of the point of playing those games, though. Is you
Getting
want those
stressed?
problems to solve? Yeah.
I mean, we play Counter-Strike and we are stressed, boys.
Yeah, that mostly comes from teammates that don't speak the same language as you, and just
Hey!
throw down mid.
I'm kidding.
If,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, if you can't communicate, that's one of the quickest ways to get frustrated with someone. If they don't communicate, if say you only speak Spanish and they speak English, you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
communicate that way.
I used to be extremely stressed when it came to Rainbow Six Siege because I used to play that game a lot back then. And whenever I get queued up with French Canadians, they were like, I don't know what to say, bro. They were toxic and they didn't know English. And they're like, we say something Spanish, something like that. I was like, huh? What?
Gotcha. All right, guys. So, Trace and Dito, I have a huge surprise for you two.
What's up?
It's a surprise guest. And here's our surprise guest. This is Tyson Yonker, otherwise known as Banana, aka Nanners. Welcome to the podcast.
Nanners? Yo, what's
Hello.
up? Yo, hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, that was extremely unexpected.
Well, Nanners was on call saving people, or I at least I hope you were saving people.
I was.
That's awesome, man. That's really awesome.
Nanners the other
Mhm.
night actually said he was really good at CPR.
Oh,
That's true. I am.
nice.
Would you say
Uh,
you're
I don't mean to
certified?
brag, but I did score the highest out of all the paramedics at my station.
Oh
so-
wow!
Hey, yo, somebody called 911. I can't breathe. Help.
That's so funny. So since Nanners is now joining us, I do have a question for Nanners. So Nanners, what was your experience like playing for Rectify Esports as a semi-pro COD player, and how was participating in CWL NOLA?
Oh gosh. The org was good. Yeah, they showed us the support we needed to go. It was a pretty last minute deal, I'd say overall, and it had its issues, but overall it worked out pretty well, and I got to go and compete with three of my close friends, and we had a good time. We got knocked out pretty early by Australia's number 2 team.
Oh wow!
Okay.
But I felt okay losing to them, so it is what it
Hey,
is.
Nanners, I
Those
got a
other
question.
3 people being Corona, Ray-Bans, and Tables, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Awesome, cool.
Got it. I actually got a specific question for that. So that tournament was a Call of Duty World War II tournament,
Yes.
right? How was it
Yeah.
like in comparison with other? Like, have you ever had any other Call of Duty party like in a tournament, or that was your?
Yeah, I've gone to like some medium-sized lands, but not anything near that scale.
Like what titles besides, WW2?
Black Ops 3 and then Infinite Warfare were the two other ones I went to LANs for.
In comparison with those games, which one do you think that had like the better competitive scene?
Black Ops 3, 100%.
Black Ops 3?
Hands down the best COD and best competitive scene out of those three.
Okay, that's actually the answer I expected it to hear from you. And that actually makes me a little bit happy because the other competitive scene for the other two were in that, that hype. But I don't know much about the meta in Black Ops 3. What operator did you see the most when it comes to DPS?
Like who has played the most?
Yeah, who's playing the most? Like,
I don't know the operator names, dude. That was years ago. But I can give you the abilities. The one that like exploded with fire, and then the camo guy, the invisible guy, were played probably the most.
Oh, yeah, I see it. I can see it. It's really toxic. I see. Yeah,
that's great. Now I have a question for Trace. How would you judge my wannabe Hot Ones level question for Nanners just now?
That was spicy. Yeah, that was spicy.
It was like, what the hell kind of question is that?
I mean, I was expecting it that soon.
I had to start.
But no, the tournament was good, and it was the biggest open Call of Duty tournament up to that point, and I believe since, as far as the amount of teams that went. So there was like a lot of people there, and it was pretty cool to see and be a part of. But even though we got knocked out early.
Damn.
That was my goal, was to get there. I wasn't really worried about doing well. I had no ambitions to go deep into that tournament with the limited practice we had as a squad. So
Nanners, so we kind of heard that you retired around January 2018, right? So,
and you guys know this better than I know this.
That's why we're gonna actually ask those questions.
January 22nd, actually, to be exact.
22nd.
Yes.
Wow, that's actually way specific. What exactly made you retire? What was the reasons?
So I went to that. Okay, so a bunch of different compounding reasons. One, once you hit the age of 21 in COD, you kind of start to slow down a little bit. Your reflexes don't get better at that point. Not to say that you can't get better at the game, but I just knew that I had hit my peak, and if I wasn't already pro at that point, I wasn't going to make it pro. Not that I was giving up. I'd also never really planned on being a pro COD player. I just wanted to go to some tournaments, get the experiences, the memories, and that's kind of exactly what I did. So that tournament I went to NOLA was the first major tournament I was going to, and I also knew going into it that it'd probably be my last. And the reason why is because I played with especially Ray-Bans and Table. Ray-Bans and I had teamed for like 4 or 5 years at that point, and were really, really close. And Tables had kind of always been in and out, but he was always another good friend of ours. So getting to meet them and getting that experience with them was kind of the finale, I guess, to all of our time together. And I'd made that decision a long time ago. I wanted to move on to a new career. And I never really had a whole lot of support from family, and it kind of put some stress on relationships with them and me, which I totally get their point of view. And given that I wasn't making enough money to show them that it was a good path for me to take, is the gaming thing. I think I gave it a long shot. They supported me in that up to that point enough that I didn't want to go back home and just keep doing the same thing when it's not benefiting me long term. So yeah, I kind of made that decision before the tournament to retire at the end of the tournament.
Well, that's a really honestly, that's a very mature decision to make.
That is awesome.
There's a lot of people that they just go ahead and, well, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna get there, and they just don't have that realization.
Yeah, that's law.
Yeah, unban me from Twitter, you jerk.
Yeah, and I don't want to discourage anyone else. If you're at a point where you're stuck or you feel like you're stuck and you're trying to go pro, doesn't mean you have to stop just because you haven't made it anywhere. It doesn't mean you won't ever make it anywhere. The difference is for me, if I had been stuck or I felt like I might not be able to make it farther, but I wasn't sure, but I still loved the game, it might have been different. I might have kept going for the love of the game. But if I'm being honest, I just wasn't enjoying COD anymore. The only reason I played as long as I did was because of my teammates and how much I enjoyed playing with them and hanging out with them every night. But overall, it just I lost the love for that game, and so it just wasn't worth me pushing through that to really not have a whole lot of a chance to make it farther anyways. So I
That
didn't
makes so
want to
much
put myself
sense.
through that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel that. So question for both Nanners and Trace. This is a guest question from Honduras. She's a Swedish Counter-Strike player. I actually had the honor of her selecting me to host and raid my stream with her viewers. That was really nice of her. And I actually discovered she's face at level 10 and she's global elite. So I'm all like, holy
Wait,
crap.
seriously?
Yeah, she's super good at Counter-Strike.
Wow, that is actually really awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry, you had to watch our
That wasn't
gameplay.
expected.
I know, that's what I said too. Like, I mean, I got a one dig for her, but either way, she worded a question. I kind of molded it a little bit, so it kind of aims for both of you guys. But so I generated the question being: has playing in an organized league like ESEA back in the day changed any behaviors to your everyday gaming traits? Such as, do you curse more, or are you less reserved to openly providing feedback to teammates in games like Counter-Strike or League of Legends?
You go first.
No, I don't think it has. I've played team sports my whole life, so playing in a competitive league is really no different. I think for most people that have played team sports, you'll see the same thing. It's the people that haven't that really tend to have a problem in those leagues or on those teams. But if anything, it's probably made me calmer when I play video games, because if you play something competitively and you're playing with somebody new, you can't hold them to the same standard that you're playing with. So
That is insane. Yeah, I agree with that actually.
Yeah,
Everybody
you have
else-
to be on the same. You have to be on the same page with
That's everybody
everybody
else in the team. Yeah, which is
Exactly.
something hard. It is extremely hard nowadays
And,
when
and,
nobody's actually talking.
and finding teammates that or that are receptive to feedback, and you also have to be able to be receptive to feedback they might have for you as well. That's super important. Just having transparency with your teammates, because if you don't have that transparency, whether or not it leads to either you guys succeeding or even making a different decision to part ways, as long as everyone knows that, okay, yeah, this obviously isn't working out, but we're going to be mature about it. I think that's definitely important as well.
Yeah, for me, I'd say the biggest thing, and I'm gonna go back to my COD days because that's where I had the most experience in. And I did play a bit of ESEA and games just in a competitive environment, but with no aspirations of actually going anywhere, just because I enjoy the competitive environment. But back to my COD days, I will say the one thing that I did learn is to accept your limitations. And know that there are going to be people who are better suited for the task or a certain task on your team than you are, and to put them in a position to succeed in that way, because there's going to be other ways that you're going to succeed. So if I'm going into a more casual environment, I think that's kind of stuck with me, is I've just accepted that there's going to be stuff that I can't do, and I don't need to try to do everything. I just need to, even though I don't know these people, allow them to take the wheel in those areas if they think they can do it, and let them make that attempt that I shouldn't really make or don't need to make because they can do it themselves.
Right. No, I get that too. There are instances where this actually doesn't even just relate to gaming as well. I mean, the example you provided, that can just be everyday life. It can be your job.
Yeah.
It can be just like a hobby, but either way, being able to accept, the limitations, especially if you're doing everything you can in your power to, try to get better. You're accepting coaching. You're doing the research on, how to do this flick on the op, or, how to make this jump. And, for some reason you either just don't have the mechanical ability to do it, or knowledge or the way to process on how you can, accomplish that goal. That just goes in, you can apply that to everyday life in general. It's not just games.
Actually,
Yeah, for sure.
now that Nanners is here, there's a question that I wanted to ask him for a while, which it's actually one of the topics that we actually talked at the start of the podcast. So, Nance, we were talking about how we believe that having a guide with you when it comes to games is like frustrating, like if it's good thing or not. But and here comes my question. Back in your COD professional days, do you ever use a guide to understand where to actually go to the map, or what exactly should be the right strategy? Like, did
Like
you
a
follow
strategy type guide thing?
exactly? Like, did you use the guide, or you and your team actually learn it by yourself?
Yeah, no, we wrote our own guide in a lot of ways. Yeah, through the years, you kind of just learn things. COD, I'd say more than any other esport, to my knowledge, is based, I'd say like 80% on spawns, and controlling spawns, or maybe
And
not
what about
80%, but a lot of it. And so it
what
would
about
just
the hard
be,
points?
yeah, and even hard points, you can control where the other team spawns based on
Yeah.
where you stand with your teammates. So we'd learn to just do that by muscle memory. But there are parts where I remember drawing up setups for like hard points and S&D and anything like that, where I'd actually have a map and we'd go through it as a team, kind of like our video review day. And we all had set positions, set plays to do off the start of the map and stuff. But that's something we had to work on together, and we had to write. But COD, you never really have a guide, because the guides that are written for COD were for the casual player for public matches, and it was based almost entirely around just them getting a good KDA, not winning the game per se. So I'd say no, I never found a good guide for COD. I don't think there is one out there. I think it's just experience and working with the same group of people until you kind of bounce off each other in situations that you need to.
Wow, that's actually an amazing response. Wow, Nanners, thank you. No, thank you for actually answering that, because I was actually curious about the Call of Duty professional scene. Because, some people actually, when it comes to guides on multiple games, people get mad at other people by using guides. And one of the examples are League of Legends games. And I remember, I don't know, somebody in stream talking about somebody using Blitz, and he was like, "Oh, that's a Blitz user. That is why he was never gonna be like a good league player and stuff like that."
Yeah, for sure.
So it's kind of weird. So it depends on the game, whenever you want to use a guide or not. Yeah.
There are games like I'd say that guides are way more suitable for, and to be fair to the people that wrote those guides, there's some games where you're writing a guide for and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be putting in this, because it's so different every game. It all depends on what the people on the other team are doing. It's not like it's a single player game where it's a lot more linear. I think guides are typically more useful in linear type games where you have a path, you have options to take, but you're generally going in the same direction. How guides help, and I guess to be the most efficient way to do that game or go through those paths. Whereas when you're playing a game where you have 10 people in a lobby and they're all doing what they want to do, things are going to happen differently every single time. And there's no way to predict what's going to happen. You can put the best weapons, you think, but even then, that's subject to changes every patch or every update. So even then, it's hard to do. So that's why I think it's better to not use guides in games like Call of Duty and Halo and stuff like that, aside from campaigns maybe. But if there's one useful thing that you can find in a guide that makes you a better player, that guide was useful for you. So using a guide, if it makes you better, why would you not? The whole point of us playing these games is to get better. At least for me it is. I enjoy getting better, and that's what I want to do. So if I have to use a guide to get a little bit better, I'm not ashamed of that, and no one should be shaming other people for that.
There you go. That's actually Nanners, ladies and gentlemen, with the most adequate response I've ever heard in my entire life.
Nanners is such a smart guy.
I know. That is why he was a pro player and we weren't.
Yeah, we're amateur players. Oh.
I mean, to be fair,
Too thin.
I kind of got into a team, but I wouldn't talk about that either way because Nanners, he really got into the actual competitive scene.
Yeah, he has a dope picture too, like, you know, with the
I mean,
jersey on and
competitive, but like, I just want to be clear, the lowest end of competitive. I don't want to be pretend I'm anything I'm not, but
Nanners. You got into actual competitive. I only touched collegiate. Is that how you say it?
collegiate, yeah.
Collegiate scene, and that's about it.
Yeah, the collegiate scene can be very, very high end though, depending on the game. But it's really kind of taking off now. So
It was, but yeah, I got kicked out of because of my GPA.
oof.
GPA.
Yeah,
Feels
it
bad.
was. It was for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 as well. It was for the Full Sail Armada team.
Oh, neat.
Full
But yeah, that's
sail
about it.
all
And I only
day.
lasted like one tournament. That was like what, 4 months before COVID happened. That destroyed my GPA.
Me and Trace have been in a Counter-Strike tournament.
Yeah,
Damn.
played against semi-professional teams. Ohio State was there.
Yep. Collegiate teams.
Hell yeah, that's actually awesome.
That's the extent of my esports activity, though.
We had one win, so that's all that matters.
We did.
And it was actually a very exciting one. We went to overtime.
We took the most rounds off of Ohio State than anybody else in the group stage. Still lost, but
Yeah. Oh, so have any of you guys seen the Navi post on Twitter from Natus Vincere, the esports organization?
No,
Which
wait.
one?
So, and I'm sure all you guys are and those that are listening are, I hope, are caught up with current events. But it reads: Russia attacked Ukraine, and now there are hostilities that take human lives and destroy actual destinies on the territory of our country. It is impossible that during this war we pretend that everything is okay, but it's not. We are devastated. Our main goal right now is to try to stay calm and take care of ourselves, our loved ones, and those who need help. We are all together in this, and together we'll get through it. But yes, this is generally not necessarily something we would talk about on our gaming podcast. But in our gaming podcast, we cover things, you know, such as esports and games and stuff like that. And in Natus Vincere, they're actually a Ukrainian esports organization, which is why I even bring it up. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a terrible thing that's occurring right now. And you know, I know Trace, I think you wanted to touch on this topic for a little bit.
oh yeah, it's really just to say that obviously all of our thoughts are with the Ukraine. We hope for the safety and the well-being for everybody that is under attack right now. And it's such a rough time we're going through right now, where it's just major event after a major event, and
Right. I mean, we just piled through COVID for the last 2 years, and then now all of a sudden Vladimir Putin wants to go ahead and say, hey, yeah, I want to go ahead and, you know, potentially, you know, start World War III.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never expected me or any of us actually live in a timeline where something like this is happening. I thought, you know, it's weird to say something like that or seeing that a country is actually invading and just causing a huge massacre out of that. It's just makes me feel so weird. Not sad, not mad or happy or anything like that. It's just weird that we're experiencing this at this time of the of our lives, though.
yeah, it's 2022 and there is a major war going on in Europe. Is not
Seriously,
something I
invading
thought I
a
would say.
country, though, like, and creating a huge massacre over things that are clearly a goddamn lie.
Right. I mean, my sister, I think like only a couple of you guys know this, but my sister, my youngest sister, she's actually half Ukrainian. And I think,
Oh, really?
yeah, I think her grandmother actually still lives in Ukraine. Her mother lives here in Ohio, but yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's such a scary thought, and it's even more scary that this can absolutely, you know, blow up even more than it is right now. Because as of right now, Ukraine is technically not part of NATO, so it's not like I know all the world leaders are trying to go ahead and, you know, add sanctions onto Russia, but it's just like I mean, we gotta put a stop to this right now, otherwise it might embolden Vladimir Putin to go ahead and do something else that's really stupid.
Bro, this is gonna actually, if it continues, it's gonna go extremely deep, and it's almost gonna be impossible to stop. So
Yeah,
we have to take action,
it's
man.
definitely a scary thought. But I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that he's putting the world in this position where there's the possibility for, I mean, there's already 40 dead soldiers and I believe 10 civilians, and that was just from the first initial reports from this morning. I'm sure there's probably more than that. There's plenty of video footage showing, there's a missile that hit one of the airports. There's a lot of explosions going on around Kiev. Which, why are you attacking Kiev if you really were just supposedly caring about those separatist countries that split off in eastern Ukraine?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you attacking Kiev? Doesn't make sense.
That's
At least
insane.
according to the claims. So
Thank you for actually talking about this, man, because this is a serious thing that it cannot be ignored whatsoever.
right,
I appreciate mentioning something.
Slava Ukraini. Glory
Well-
to Ukraine. But yeah, I mean, not to end it on a dull note, but that is about all the time we have. Everybody, thanks for listening to this podcast. We appreciate you taking the time.
Before,
Oh.
yeah, so I'm sorry for interrupting, but this is something very important that I actually have to ask almost every single one of you right now that we're ending. So, we gaming?
Yes, we're gonna game. Let me go and finish everything now. Anyway, shout out to Trace and Anders for joining us on today's episode. Also, be sure to drop a follow to Swedish Counter-Strike player on Doris, twitch.tv/ONDURIS. She's Face It level 10 and Global Elite for those who know the CSGO ranks. And she's a pretty entertaining streamer to watch. And also, for those who don't know, I've been assisting with producing a new podcast called Mysteriosities, hosted by my friends Morgan and Miara. So if you're into mystery, conspiracies, ghosts, and other earthly oddities, be sure to look out for the premiere in April. But again, yeah, I will ask a question too. So we gaming?
So we gaming. Yes, sir.
All right, guys, have a good night.
Good night.